Hey guys, it's your girl Asia, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm back with another review to Black Lightning. Yes, we are now on episode 9, which was called The Book of Little Black Lies. And yes, there was a lot of those going around in this show for the first half of this season. And while last week was all about getting the revelations to certain people about all those lies, this week kind of deals with all of the emotional fallout that's been happening as a result of these secrets and lies being exposed. So this was a good episode. Again, we had a good mix of action in this one, but we still had a lot more exposition and story movement, and I really like that. Like this movie, geez. That's what it feels like, don't it? It's just like one beautiful long movie. This episode kind of focused more on Jen, and I liked that it focused on her in a way that had more to do with how she felt about her discovery, and of course the discoveries about her family, than it did with her necessarily doing cool superhero-y things. And we also got a lot of just kind of more information about just the whole, what happened basically before we came into the show, really. Finding out what happened with Alvin in his investigation about the ASA, and just, I like that we're just kind of getting the flashback via storytelling. This background information about how Gamby was involved and all that kind of stuff really helps us to get a good perspective of where he's been coming from. Because as many of you know, in the earlier half of this season, I was not pleased with that man. And now at least I can have a little bit more empathy for him, because I have a little bit better of a picture of where he was coming from and exactly kind of what was going down. And of course, it's making me even more curious about some of the stuff that went down way back in the day as well. Overall, really liked the episode. I have some notes here about some things that I thought were pretty interesting, so let's just jump right into them. One thing I kind of mentioned before, and I really stood out to me in this episode, is how Jefferson changes his vernacular and the way that he talks when he's Black Lightning versus Jefferson. And I think it's very interesting, and I don't know how much of that is intentional and how much of that is just the way he feels, because, you know, obviously when he dons the suit and is, you know, in that mode, he probably feels much different than he does when he's Jefferson Pierce, the principal. But, you know, one thing I noticed is that when he is the principal, when he's Black Jesus, you know, he speaks very eloquently and he's very succinct, and he doesn't really use any slang or ebonics. He's really just trying to keep things very, you know, professional, which, of course, is very important as someone who's representing the head of a school. But also, I think it very much plays into the, I'm just a regular old Joe living in my white picket fenced house with my wife and my 2 kids and everything's great. Versus when he's Black Lightning and he's just like talking about brother this and yo that, and, you know, just the street slang starts coming out, and he just, you know, he's a little bit more, you know, cheeky, he's a little bit more, you know, sarcastic. And yeah, it really hit me in this episode when he was talking to the police officer there, that the police chief, I should say, that he really is, you know, 2 different kind of people. Like, they really are 2 different personas within Jeff. Yeah, let's just get into the Jen stuff and how she handled this whole thing, because it was the majority of the episode and definitely one of the bigger arcs of the episode. As I said in my reaction, this is what we expected. At least this is what I expected from Anissa in the last episode. I expected her to kind of be the one to fly off and give her dad some attitude, and because we've seen her be very feisty, and she's typically the one barking back at her dad, right? But we got it with Jen. Instead, Jen happened to be the firecracker where this is concerned. And it was funny because, you know, what was it, 2 episodes ago, Jeff said, oh, you know, man, you know, and this is sorry, Jen's too much to handle without powers, like what happens? But it's funny that when it came to this, Anissa was actually the one who turns out to be a little bit too gung-ho and crazy, and we've got Jen, who's quite the opposite. And I love that. Right off the bat, I love that Jen and Anissa had very different viewpoints about coming into their powers. I love that we kind of got both sides. We've got right now Anissa, who's loving it. You know, Anissa, obviously, she's got a lot of things that make her different right now already. She embraces the other. She embraces the different, whereas Jen, as we've already seen, like, she calls her sister Harriet. Right? She doesn't want to be a freedom fighter. She doesn't want to do things for the greater good. Homegirl just wants to just live her normal ass life and just not be bothered. Yeah, I feel like it was a very realistic reaction, and I wonder if the age plays a little bit of a difference in this as well. I mean, but I think the age, the fact that Anissa, you know, she's not in high school anymore. She's in university. She's getting her her master's degree, so she's already finished, you know, her first round of university. She's working a full-time job. She clearly is not somebody who really cares about what people think about her. Like, it's not as important to her in that regard. But we've got Jen, who's still right in the thick of high school, got 2 years left. She kind of went from being like the top of the school to now kind of being the butt of the joke in the school. And now she's thinking, man, here's one more thing that's going to make me potentially just more of an outcast. And that's terrible. I mean, I kind of gave her a hard time during the reaction about like the things she was saying to her mom, but I had to stop, and you know, I'm thinking now, it's like, no, you know what? The girl is only 16 years old. Like, when I was 16, when we were all 16, we don't have the perspective to look at the big picture yet. And yes, if I was 16, I'm going to be looking at things like, girl, I just want to go to prom. Like, I want to be able to go out and hang with my friends at the mall on the weekends. I want to date guys. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to do all these normal things. And now I'm thinking maybe that stuff's not going to be possible. And so it was very realistic, and I think her age definitely was a huge factor as to why she had such a negative response right off the bat. Again, this is still only the first couple of days, and as a lot of you have been predicting in my comments and I've seen around, I feel like when Khalil reemerges and after whatever Tobias planned to do with him, I feel like when she sees what happened to him, and especially considering the fact that he's very salty about Black Lightning and very salty about her, I think she's going to be prompted into some action. I think she's going to be motivated when she realizes that these powers can be helpful in some other ways. Just on one little side note there that kind of bothered me, like when she was having that chat with her mom and saying that, you know, she doesn't think she's going to be lovable if she's, you know, if everyone knows that she's got these powers. And then she said, well, isn't that the reason that you and Dad got divorced? I really feel like that moment was a perfect moment for Lynn to stop and say, and again, I know that that scene was already quite long and these scenes have to be only so long, but I feel like that was a perfect opportunity where Lynn should have explained that her and Jefferson didn't work out, not because she had an issue with his powers, the fact that he has powers. She broke up with him because of how he chose to use them, or the fact that he did use them at all. Right? That he was out there being a vigilante, living that life. That is what broke them up. But she kind of let Jen believe in that moment that it had to do with his mutation, which obviously he had no control over. So very important, I think, that would have been a very important lesson there to be like, no. I love your dad. You know, the fact that he can shoot lightning out of his hands was never my problem. It was the fact that he made choices around it that maybe he wouldn't have made, you know, if he didn't have metahuman abilities. Anyways, that was feel like a little missed opportunity that I think could have been done better. But overall, I really liked it. And I like that by the end of it, Jen's just like, okay, I get, like, she's kind of over the initial anger phase. She realizes everyone in her family really does love her and that none of this was done out of malice. I love that he's continued to make Anissa's suit. I love that he's out there trying to get information about how to clear Jefferson because he knows he's probably going to have to do it since the police are way too corrupt to do it on their own. And so this is obviously going to get messy for Gamby because it's not going to take long for this, I always forget the name of that boss guy. It's not going to take long for him to put 2 and 2 together to know that Gamby must be tipping off Black Lightning. And so, I mean, and he knows where Gamby is, right? Gamby's not even hiding. So it's going to get dicey for him, but I really do appreciate that he's out there just trying to risk it all for Jefferson. I'm a little confused about the fact that he was surprised at the person that he saw who was in all those casings in that, wherever that building was. Because the boss guy, when they met and he told him about the fact that he was going to put the hit out on Black Lightning, he's like, we've chopped up, he said in his words, we've chopped up enough metas to know how they work or get what we need out of them. We don't need any more. So I don't know why Gamby's like, oh, I can't get what I saw out of my head, because I'm like, girl, you already knew. You knew that they were killing the people that you were capturing. But again, maybe he didn't know at the time, or maybe he just didn't want to believe it. I guess it's one thing to hear about it. It's another to see someone that you know that you had an active hand in, you know, handing over to his executioner. But again, it makes me wonder if they're actually dead. Because, I mean, that body looked very preserved. It didn't look to me like it was decaying. Like, I don't know. I mean, it could just be kept for, you know, medical purposes. But I have a distinct feeling that those metas, or at least some of them that are in whatever that facility was, are probably still alive, and that we're going to see one or more of them start appearing before the end of the season, and possibly a lot more of them next season while they try to hunt down Black Lightning and Thunder. And I guess that basically just leaves Anissa. I love her new suit. I love her new suit so much, girl. Got a sister crying. I despise the old suit. Like, I ain't gonna lie. It just did nothing for me. I mean, the colors were all right, I guess, but it just looks so gaudy in all the wrong ways to me. And I know superhero costumes are typically pretty awful, but I didn't like it. This is a big improvement. This is a huge improvement. I really like it. It's much better. And yeah, it was cool to see her get suited up with her dad and seeing the two of them work together. And I always love watching Jefferson just be in awe of his baby girl and how smart she is. And I think it's so cool that he's being super supportive of her and not trying to like hold her back or protect her too much out there, because she has to get out there and learn. You know, there's no other way to learn than to kind of push them into the deep end. So yeah, they just keep putting more logs on this bonfire of what's going to eventually be the finale. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of things at play coming together in the finale. And prediction, I think we might lose the detective. At first I thought it was Gamby, but I feel like there's just entirely too much stuff that Gamby knows and knows how to do. Like, we need a tech person, right? In any of these superhero shows, you need a tech expert. And that's Gamby right now. So unless Gamby's got a kid or a cousin or somebody else, he needs to stick around going into season 2 so far. But the detective, however, I mean, he's the one clean cop in a dirty precinct. Like, that can't last very long, you know? So I don't know. My prediction at this point early is that we're going to lose the detective, and that's going to be super sad because I kind of like his character, but I don't know. I know someone's not making it out of the season. I'm just trying to figure out who that person is. What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to make it out of the season? And who do you think might end up being, you know, someone who's just faint memory? Please leave your predictions below and any other comments you had about this episode. And if you like this video, guys, please go ahead and click that like button. If you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time,